Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation! Good evening and welcome back to Computerized Start Live. I am your late, as in, I started after 9 o'clock host, Justin D. Morgan. And, oh, apparently I hit 400 subscribers, finally. Yay! Because I was at 399 and then I went down for some reason. And actually, I'm trying to read the chat and clean my workbench. Because, let's just say that Emerson Matrix 2000, all that dirt and grime and whatnot, really did a number to my workbench. Yeah, there you go. And that's because I kind of blew the dust off first. Alright, well, I'll deal with the trash later. Alright! Let's see here, who do we have in the chat? We have Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack. And he says, by the way, November is really no remember. Well, okay. Well, maybe I forgot what time I set the stream. Actually, I remembered. I set it to start at 8:30 and then realized I wasn't going to be ready at 8:30. And yeah. So, yep. Hey, Frank S. We got Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Packard Bell looks very clean. No dirty work here. Well, that's because the one in the thumbnail is clean. The one that I stripped for parts, yeah, gloves are going to be required. Spray cleaners, paper towels. Might even bring out the heavy-duty gloves, because it was a mouse nest at one point, I think. We have Frank S. We have Gutbomb. Hey, Gutbomb. We have Joe's Computer Museum. And at least I interpreted your comment that I was late as a joke, Joe. We have Trina's Technobabble. Oh, we had Trina's Technobabble. All right. Good night, Trina, if you're kind of lurking as you doze off. We have Scarlet the Four-Eyed Cuda. We have K-Mac Vintage. We have Thomas Armstrong. We have, I think the cat jumped on me. All right, we have. I'll run that basic program later, Joe. Oh, apparently Bianca is number 400. Yay! Oh, so nice of Bianca. Yay! All right, so welcome everyone. All right, well, I kept my coffee goal because it seemed good enough, and it is Packvember. This will probably be the only Packvember stream. Also, I keep hitting my microphone for some reason. I don't know. I'm sure if for those watching the VOD of my stream on Tuesday, I do apologize for every time I hit my hard hat on my microphone. I should have probably taken the hard hat off at some point because I kept hitting it on the microphone. All right. Oh, we have SadMac356. Yay! All right. Let's see, what do I have in terms of channel announcement? Well, I was going to show this off Tuesday, but I had too many dirty computers. Not that I laundered this. But I have an 80s towel. I have an 80s towel. There we go. Oh. Hawaiian trees, flowers, tropical girls, I guess. I didn't notice that. Kind of faded. Oh, yeah. Hawaiian girls. Oh, what do you know? So, anyways, yes, it's my low-cost 80s towel because it didn't have any copyrighted properties on it. So that is the problem with finding a towel that looks like it's from the 80s, is because a lot of them have like Star Trek and Star Wars and Disney and Care Bears and He-Man and all those copyrighted properties. Anyways, it's my retro towel. Yeah, hula dancers, yes. Now, why in the world would I have an 80s towel? Well, that's because Adrian Black has a 70s towel. I wasn't around in the 70s, so I was looking for an 80s towel. Luckily, I was shopping and Mom was there and I asked her for her opinion. She was like, yeah, that looks like an 80s towel, 70s or 80s, so I'm calling it the 80s towel. Now, why would I be putting the 80s towel down on the bench? Well, that is because, assuming I don't completely knock everything over in the process. Alright, I am going to, while trying to figure out how in the world I have parts for other projects on top of it, try to get down to the Packard Bell. Oh! Actually, I think I got parts to put in it. Oh, wait. I think I have more parts that can go in it. I think they're all the same. Alright, here we go. Because I don't want to break any more plastic on this case, because it already has plenty of broken plastic. But anyways, here is the Packard Bell Force 420. Oh, oops. It looks like I forgot what Packard Bell model I had. It's the Packard Bell Force 442 CDT. That's what I get for posting to social media before I actually look at the machine. Anyways, yes. We are traveling. Okay, somebody needs a 90s towel, Jeremy says. Well, this would need to go on a 90s towel. Anyways, so here's the Packard Bell Force 442 CDT, which barely fits in the frame. But this is what I need to fix. Folks, that is not a power button. That is hot glue where the power button used to be, or at least I think it's hot glue. I'm hoping it's hot glue, and I'm hoping that's hot glue here and not scratches in the case. The backup plan, though, is I do have the front bezel from the other Packard Bell that I could use. But anyways, tonight's project is deceivingly simple, probably. I want to fix that. I want to get a proper power button in place. I bought a Packard Bell, some other Packard Bell in the same case on Facebook Marketplace. I probably paid more than I want to admit. I don't remember what I paid right offhand, but I'm sure it's more than I want to admit to. It was listed as non-working. When I received it, it looked like it could be repairable until I really started stripping it for parts. Then I realized, no, there's parts of it that are a lost cause. For example, the riser board that was in it. I scrapped it. That's how bad it was. There was just no repairing the riser board. I think it looked like every single trace on the backside of the riser board was broken due to environmental damage. That's the polite way I'm going to put it. Because mice are part of the environment. You can put one and one together. Anyways, luckily though, many of the plastic parts were actually intact and survived shipping with minimal packaging material. For that case had this part, so I will be able to replace this missing trim piece. It did have an intact bezel. It is a different model, so I will probably, if I have to use its front bezel, I will try to figure out how to remove this to swap it. Oh, try to figure out how to remove this to swap it. It does have the power button. I had thought about 3D printing a replacement, but there were no models of the 3D button on the internet, and I didn't have a button to model. So, anyways, that's the seemingly deceptive project. Now, once I get this off, I may figure out why they put hot glue in here. Now, when I got this for $5 at the System Source swap meet, I didn't realize that there was hot glue where the power button belonged, because there was a case badge on top of it. If you look at the thumbnail, you'll see the case badge, which I didn't even realize that the power button was not visible because the case badge was there. It just completely escaped my mind. But I only paid $5 for this Packard Bell, so I probably still would have bought it even if I'd known the power button was broken. And now I can see the chat again. Yes, hey, Sorcerer Stan. And hello, Jesse. Welcome. Yes. Jesse says, there was a computer store by me that used Packard Bells in interviews. By use, I mean have potential new hire tear it apart. Yeah. Was the motherboard any account in the parts computer? I haven't tested it, but the motherboard was... The motherboard did clean up. Because I believe the parts computer was stored upright, and all of the liquids pooled on the back of the riser board. And so anyways, and that's the riser board. I scrapped it. It was not even, I looked at it and I just started it was the game of, are any of these traces intact? And I looked at it and every single trace looked to be broken on the backside of the board. So I am not apologizing for scrapping that riser board. It was not worth fixing. You can still get riser boards from other parts computers that have different problems. So Jeremy, if this is a question because you need a Packard Bell motherboard, well, you can reach out to me. I did clean it. I don't remember what model it was. It was the tower. I did clean it just because it was gross. I haven't tested it though. If we get a moment, we might try testing it, because you don't need the riser board to test it. Anyways, so this computer... Yeah, Garth says, 1996 me would find it incredibly crazy how collectible Packard Bell computers are now. Oh, Jeremy was just curious. Okay. Oh, hi, Adam. So, I think now is about as good a time as any to attempt to get the front bezel off. Now, these are a bit deceptive to take apart. So, let me see here. Can you remove the front bezel without removing the top? Okay. I think the front bezel will come off without removing the top, but I'm not totally sure. However, I do know that to get the front bezel off, you do need to remove the both side panels. Oh, hey, Retro Techie. And for the record, this is the only Packard Bell computer I really want, yeah, it's the only one I want. And that is because a Packard Bell very close to this configuration was one of the computers that I grew up with, albeit very briefly in the grand scheme of things. I don't think it was a Force 442 CDT though. It was very close in configuration because I do remember it had the sound card modem. And it was, I think, a Pentium 75, which this one is a Pentium 75. But the one difference is the Force 442 CDT has, I believe, a double speed CD-ROM, and the one we had has the quad speed CD-ROM that has like the two rounded bumps on it that match the rounded trim on the bottom, other than it was beige and not gray. Gut Bomb's asking, you don't want the Packard Bell Corner PC? No, not really. I'll just be content that LGR has one. I mean, if you want to know my opinion on the Packard Bell Corner PC, is that was a solution to no one's problem. In fact, I think that was a solution that only created problems, not solved them. For example, if the motherboard died in it, it's not like you could put any replacement in it, because I don't think it was a standard layout. I mean, at least with this motherboard, it is a standard form factor, albeit I don't know how easy it was to find replacements for it, but at least this was a standard layout, and there were a few aftermarket upgrade motherboards. In fact, I have one, I believe, that would fit this case. If the motherboard worked, I could put it in this case and it would totally work. But the corner PC, I don't think was. Yeah, Adam McG says I like rounded bumps. Yeah, it was a very interesting CD-ROM drive. Jeremy says a lot of Packard Bells had that Rockwell modem Aztec sound combo card. Yeah, I think they bought them in bulk. Gut Bomb says, what do you mean? It's a design tour de force. Yeah. Gut Bomb also says, this is a hill I shouldn't die on, but will. Yeah. Sadmac 356 says, Gut Bomb, I mean, I would. I think it's kind of neat, but A, yeah, solution looking for a problem, and B, good luck finding one for a reasonable price. Yeah, that's the other problem with them. I mean, if anyone's wondering, I think that this is like the LPX or NPX motherboard layout. So it actually is a standard. So in the brief amount of time that motherboard manufacturers actually made motherboards in this form factor, you could have bought one to replace your failed Packard Bell motherboard. So yeah, Jesse says you don't put corner Packard Bell in a corner. Yeah, okay, Jeremy says LPX. Yeah. Yep, LPX. Yeah. NPX is another standard. There are some differences between them. Yes, Jeremy is also saying, but oddly, it used an AT power supply. Yes, that is true. I think the LPX standard did actually allow for a it usually would have had a different motherboard. All right, so I'm trying to get the bezel off. I may go grab that. Because the thing is, this... Oh, no. Okay, it's not being held on by the hot glue. I think... it's... Let me go grab the other... Let me go grab the other bezel and make sure that I know exactly what this looks like. It's just laying over to the side. I'll also grab that LPX motherboard I have. It doesn't work, but I'll show you what I mean. Okay. Anyways, I grabbed the other bezel. I was going to need to do it eventually anyways. So I think what I need to do is I just need to release these 3 clips and it should come out. Because I got the 2 screws. Because it's held on with those 3 clips and the 2 screws. Yeah, the parts when I bought was a Packard Bell 2970. And yes, it definitely was a parts Packard Bell. Oh, all right. Anyways, though, as I was saying, just for anyone that thought that motherboard manufacturers did not make aftermarket LPX motherboards, I actually have this Asus. I think it's an Asus. No, actually, I think it's an FIC brand. It's a PAK 2005. It's a socket 7 motherboard, but it is an LPX form factor. Also note, it also uses the AT power supply connectors, but there's the LPX. The LPX has the ports on the back. So anyways, you could have bought a motherboard like this back in the day to upgrade your Packard Bell or any other computer using the LPX form factor. Unfortunately, this board is dead. Everyone gets one guess as to where I bought it, and you'll probably be correct. I'm kind of hoping I can fix it. I'm hoping it's like maybe this bulging capacitor's causing all the problems. But anyways, so at least with a layout of computer like this, you could have, for a while at least, bought an aftermarket motherboard to upgrade it, or and that board actually would have supported the Pentium 75 that was in here originally. So if your Packard Bell motherboard died, you could have fixed it. So that's kind of why. Now I bought that FIC motherboard because I have an IBM computer that I got from Jeremy, and its motherboard was not happy after I put it through the ultrasonic cleaner, and that was plan B. If I couldn't get the original motherboard fixed, of course that motherboard died on me, so I had to go to plan C. Yep, SADMAC 356 got it. So I had to go to plan C. Quite literally, plan C for Canada. And I bought another... Actually, oh, I'm forgetting about one board. Okay. So, plan A was to buy a replacement IBM motherboard, which I did. And I think it came from like Romania or Hungary or somewhere like that, because that's where I found the best price. Plan B, at the same time, I bought the FIC motherboard because I was afraid that something would be wrong with the IBM board, and I really wanted to get it up and running. Turns out, yep, that IBM motherboard had a major problem with one of the main ICs, and the board will not work with it. Someone had like smashed another board into it. So it had broken a number of pins. Unfortunately, I lifted a bunch of traces trying to fix that chip. Plan B motherboard is dead, and I don't know why. So Plan C was quite literally, I bought another one of those IBM boards on eBay, but it came from Canada. So luckily, though, I opened it up as soon as I got it, and all the SEs are intact. So it's not a scrapper special where they just someone pulled a board out of a box that someone had thrown in a box carelessly. So, anyways, yeah. That IBM will probably be on a live stream in December for December. Only because I think it's about time I get that computer up and running. I just need to do a little pre-work on it on a warm weekend where I can fix a little bit of rust on the interior chassis, which I don't think I can do in December. It's too cold usually. All right. You know, I am getting the distinct impression I am going to have to remove the top because I can't get these plastic clips to release. Or at least I'm going to remove the optical drive. So, all right. I think the optical drive is going to have to come out because I think it's preventing the... Or wait, maybe I can remove the drive bay covers and then that'll let me push the bezel up. All right. Okay, so there's the covers. Now, can I push this up? Oh, there we go. There we go. That's what I needed to do. All right. Oh, interesting. Well, that's not what I was expecting. It looks like the power button is in there, but hot glued in there. Oh, and there are scratches on the plastic. Okay. Okay. Yep, I might be transferring the Force 442 CDT part to the other bezel because, yeah, there's scratches here. But I'd like to try to figure out what's going on here, so I am going to try to remove that hot glue to figure out what's going on. Oh, I know why they did that. I think they could have dusted their computer a bit better. Ew. All right. Oh, that's lovely. I'm going to take that floppy drive apart. Yeah, the latching button broke. It no longer latches. Okay. Well, that's a potentially easy enough fix. Hmm. Ooh, right. Well, let's see here. Okay. 2 screws. All right. Well, let's deal with the power switch first. All right. Because I know someone's going to probably going to say, oh, but you've got that part's Packard Bell. Doesn't it have a switch on its power supply? And that would be where I have to make an slightly embarrassing confession. A really slightly embarrassing confession indeed. Oh, cool. This case has a motherboard tray. Ah, that would help me get to the switch. All right. Yeah, power button stem might be broken. No, I think it's the spring. All right. So I can have a little more room to work here. Although I'm probably going to have to pull this power supply out because I think I'm probably just going to have to swap the power supply with another one. Because I don't think. Yeah, the embarrassing confession is the power supply in the parts Packard Bell was so gross. I already scrapped it. And it was so gross, I didn't even think about removing the switch from it. I don't think. That's how bad the power supply was. Because that's where the mice were the most active with their nesting activities. Let me check. Maybe I did cut off. Forgot about it. Yep, confirmed. I didn't even think to cut the switch off. Alright, well. Well, that's why there's eBay, the place where I buy things I later regret. Alright. Well, I've got this power supply here. Well, it is an AT power supply. The latching switch works. I think the power switch cable is long enough. I will need to open it up and do a safety check of it. All right. Yep, I think the power switch is going to be long enough. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep, and it is a 250 watt power supply, or so it says. So actually, that's probably a little bit more than the original. The only problem is that it has a power output on it, but it looks like the way the case is designed, I think it might actually still fit. All right. So I think the best course of action is going to be to just replace the power supply entirely, which will mean further disassembly. But first, let's make sure I have a power supply that looks good and then I'll worry about seeing if it fits. I know some people will probably wonder if why not replace it with an ATX power supply. Well, I might end up having to do that, but I don't have the requisite adapters. I mean, it's also possible if I get the original power supply out, I might be able to fix the latch if the spring is the part that's missing. But let me make sure I've got a power supply that I can actually just replace with. Because if I'm going to go through all this trouble, I want to make sure I can get this thing back together. All right. So we have a fairly cheap looking power supply, but it does not appear as if there are any reefa caps in it. And it does not like the total utter cheap power supply, although it is pretty lightweight. Okay, it at least passes the basic computer safety check. Oh, this has one of the 5-volt leads for a front panel megahertz display. Oh. Oh, good night, Frank. You know, I don't think I want to put that in the Packard Bell because of that one feature. Alright, let me see. I think I got another power supply around here somewhere. Let me see. I should have a power supply around here that needs, I think it's a 200 watt AT power supply. Let me see if I can find it. It needs dusted and the fan replaced. But it proved to be stable when I checked it. It might have been Dave's stream when I checked it. Alright, I think it might be this power supply. This also might be one that Jeremy sent me. It's actually a heavier power supply. Let me see. I thought, though, the power supply I was thinking of. Oh, I thought it was over here, but maybe it's not. Okay. Alright, so this one has a long power lead. Switch is working. It. Huh. Okay. I mean, this power supply. Oh, nope, it's not this power supply, but this power supply is a candidate. Okay. Oh, you can't see the one I'm setting here yet. Okay, let me put the screws back in this one. This one, I forgot this one had the lead for a megahertz display, so actually I want to hold it for a different case. Okay, so I've got one candidate that I found. It may require more than just a simple cleaning. Somewhere I have a power supply down here that it needs dusted and it needs a fan. But I've already checked it though, and it had stable voltages. So actually, I think that is. I think that's the one I'll put in the Packard Bell if I can find it. All right. I think it's right up there. Is it in? No. All right. Hold please while I try to find the power supply that I moved for some strange reason. Not this full 3D plastic. Over. It's not that power supply. That box. Yes. This pause in the action is brought to you by Justin Moved It. Justin moved it. The reason why he loses track of things. If you want to be able to find things in your work environment, don't ask me to clean it. Because I'll move your things too. And then you won't be able to find them. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's this go to? Additional fan lubricated. Oh. must be the power supply I'm looking for right here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think it's this one. Oh, and guess what? I've already cleaned it. Oh, Joe just figured out the first PAL on the Diamond Track Star. Cool. Oh, a pin was misdetected as an input. Okay, so I don't know when I cleaned this out. But I'm pretty sure this is the power supply I was looking for. Although, unfortunately, it's got the, this here, which might mean I'm going to hold it for something else. So I've got a check mark that I tested this and that I lubricated the original fan. Which must mean that fixed the noise problem with the fan. Okay, so we got this as a candidate, although some cases need this to hold it in, so I don't know that I want to put that in the Packard Bell, because I don't think the Packard Bell uses that piece, because I think it needs a different piece screwed onto the power supply. Which probably means I need to look at this power supply, and I'm pretty sure this is one that Jeremy sent me. So let's crack into it. I'll hold this other supply at the ready. It's always possible that I will end up using it even if it isn't ideal, and we'll swap it out later. Okay, so I've not opened this power supply. So I cannot say whether I will just clean this out or whether or not Mike Rowe will be invited onto the stream, or possibly some other character. It does look like this power supply got wet at some point. It's not too bad on the outside, so I'm hoping that maybe this will just be needs a little bit of cleaning. All right, well, don't do what I'm doing if you don't know what you're doing with power supplies. So there could be dangerous voltages inside. Not in this power supply. It's been unplugged for who knows how long. Capacitors are almost certainly discharged by now. I don't know if I can get the... Alright. If you didn't see my last live stream, won't realize how difficult some power supplies can be to open, because they really didn't want you to open them. Yeah, Jeremy says it's been unplugged for at least 2 years. Yeah. I mean, I am not aware of any capacitor that can hold a charge for that long, so I am probably fine. Alright. One of these days I'll actually get me one of those grommet tools. Then I'd be able to just get this grommet out, like, really easy. That I'll probably accidentally mangle it. Alright, I'm trying to see if I can turn it enough to get this one piece out. There we go. Try to push the AC power cord through. Which, yes, actually, if you're working on these AT power supplies, do note that the cord that has the switch on it is mains voltage. So I have this power supply unplugged. If I did not have it unplugged, then there would actually be 124 volts AC, give or take, running through it, because it is switching AC mains voltage. Now, ATX power supplies use DC to turn it on and off, but AT power supplies switch the mains voltage. There we go. Okay, this doesn't look too bad. All right, well, let's see here. We've got a... okay. Actually, this one's relatively clean. The fan's relatively clean. The, yeah, okay. I don't see any signs of leakage. There's a little hint that it was in a damp environment, but because there's rust on these two screws, and there's like some white oxidation there. Overall, though, not too bad. We'll at least give it a quick dust out, using my fume extractor to kind of direct the dust that way. I mean, what little bit there is in it. Okay. That looks good. Alright, don't see any reefer caps in it, because there's one of the safety caps there. I think there's a safety cap in here. It's a DVE brand. Alright, don't see any capacitors that are bulging or deformed. A little bit of dirt on this, and I think that's an inductor. I don't see any of the conductive elastics, so let's give this a test. So I have, for our testing enjoyment, I have 2 hard drives, one of which is the Quantum Bigfoot that has too many bad sectors on it. The other is actually a working hard drive, but I don't have 2 dead hard drives that are like both spinning. It's a hard drive that if I lost it due to a bad power supply, then I would not be terribly sad over. I'd be a little sad, but not like really sad. I need to add more spinning but bad hard drives to my collection so that I can test power supplies like MikeTech. All right. This, I did plug it in, but that is off. It is off. I've got a switch. I've got it on a switch. It is off. So there's no live power here. I was also... Oh, this was a computer reset special with little use. All right, well, then it is quite possible that computer reset will have helped to make yet another computer power on. All right. Also, because I do need to add just a little bit of extra load. All right. I'm going to use this motherboard, and I put a mark on the board, which I will, now that I have a black marker, I will fix the mark and make it black and not blue. Although, to be fair, there's not a blue wire on either end. But I marked it so that I knew which end was the common side. Because it's not entirely evident from the top side of the board where the common pins go. But it's very easy to tell from the bottom side. So anyways, all right. So I got enough load that the power supply, if it's regulating, will regulate. Yes, I don't need to put a processor in that motherboard. It will draw enough power without putting a processor in it, or it should at least. All right. I will put my multimeter in DC mode, and I will plug it into one of the Molex connectors. All right. And now I will scoot back here, just in case something goes pop. I'm not right over it. All right, going live in 3, 2, 1. And we got hard drive spin up. And we have ooh. No, we don't have hard drive spin up. Wait a minute. Okay, we've got 11.7 volts. And we've got 5.06 volts. That was weird. All right, let me swap this board out for another one. I don't think that's actually providing enough of a load for some reason. All right, let me pick a third hard drive here. Power supply is at least in close enough regulation that I'm not worried, because that's actually a like a 3.2 gig, or that's a 2.1 gig hard drive that's all right. We got, oh, that hard drive's not spinning up. I Okay, that's weird. Okay. Yeah, there's no magic smoke, but one of my hard drives, the hard drives are, one of the hard drives didn't spin up. Oh, I think there's a problem with one of the Molex connectors. Oh, is that a... Oh, okay. Might not be a problem. One of the Molex connectors is like spread out, but it looks like the pins are spread out. But it looks like there is a splitter in amongst these cables. So let me find the clipper, clip the zip tie, and see if by chance that is the splitter that's not happy, because it kind of looks like it might be. Because that's an easy problem to fix. I just don't use the bad splitter. All right. No, no. Okay, the splitter... Actually, the splitter looks fine. Wait, there might be another... Oh, there's two splitters in amongst it. Okay. Okay, let's try this again. Let me plug all three drives directly into Molex power connectors on the power supply and try again. I think one of those two splitters, the Molex plugs on it, are misshapen. Alright, now let's see if I have... Alright. I don't think my Bigfoot spun up. Alright, Bigfoot didn't spin up. I think there's something wrong with that power plug. Yeah, no magic smoke, but Molex connectors on this power supply are kind of iffy. It's got 3 hard drives plugged into it. Okay. Got, got, it's got problems with the Molex connectors on it. I'll need to probably... In order to use the power supply, I will need to crimp new pins onto the Molex connectors. Probably. Or otherwise fix them so that they make contact with the... Yeah. Okay. So this power supply is probably okay electrically, except that the Molex plugs are I guess the sockets are they're spread open. It's been a high use power supply, lots of insertions and removals, so I'll have to fix that before I can use this power supply. But I think other than that, it does the fan is quiet, and I think once the plugs are fixed so that everything makes good electrical contact, I think it will be in regulation on the 12-volt rail. I think the problem was 2 hard drives wasn't quite enough load, because those are newer hard drives, comparatively speaking. So, alright. So I guess this power supply will go in my repair pile. I don't have the parts I need to fix it tonight. Alright. I guess maybe this one here, even though it's got the connector on it that I kind of was holding for another power supply, but actually, alright, I guess let's at least see if it works. It might be a better candidate than my other alternative. I might just have to... This is the lead I was talking about. So this 2-pin connector plugs into the megahertz display on a case and provides at 5 volts. So if you ever see that connector on a power supply, an AT power supply, and you're wondering what does it do? Well, it's a 5-volt lead for a megahertz display on the front panel of a computer. So that's what it does. It supplies 5 volts. Alright. Okay. I have not tested this power supply. It could be... I mean, it came from eBay. That might be enough said. Okay. Fingers crossed. 3, 2, 1. Alright, I think the hard drive spun up. Okay, we got a nice solid 5 volts. The Bigfoot, I think, might have... Maybe my Bigfoot drive is... Alright, 11.5 volts. You know, I think my Bigfoot drive might have... It's not like, remaining spinning. So I have a feeling that it, well, it's no longer good as a sacrificial hard drive. Maybe that's why I'm having so much trouble testing power supplies lately. Alright, let's try that again. With 2 hard drives. 11 points. There we go. Alright, that's closer to what I like to see with 2 hard drives. At 11.7. So that's in spec. I mean, it's a little low, but I think the 12-volt load is a little low with these 2 hard drives here. Oh, yeah. Jeremy's got another point. Some floppy drives use just this connector. I don't know how common that was, but yes. I'd almost like to put just a little more load on this power supply and see if it will... see if it'll graduate to a nice solid 12 volts. All right, let me see if I can find a load, an extra load to add to it. I don't have any fancy light bulbs. I've got a cooling fan. That won't add much load at all. Oh, Jeremy, it's not that they require a load to operate, but the 12 volt still may not be in spec with a lower load. 5 volt usually works, but 12 volt is usually low without a sufficient load. Although, if you don't have 12-volt devices on it, or not much, that might not be a big problem, but... Okay, so this power supply is... decent. Alright, I think it's Packard Bell worthy. I'll go with it. It at least doesn't have a problem where I need to fix a couple of the Molex connectors. I think they're all fine. Alright. So, thank you to my hard drives for being brave. Okay, so okay, 250 watt power supply. That'll be good for the Packard Bell. All right. Now, before I remove the Packard Bell's power supply, oh, this is the Packard Bell 2970 bezel, which I may have to use because the other bezel's damaged, which means I'll have to clean it. Let's see exactly how bad this bezel is, if I can figure out where I put it. Oh, it was right beside me. So, I'm gonna see if I can get this hot glue out by encouraging it with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. I think it's hot glue, so I'm hoping that'll just loosen it. And I don't think we'll have to wait long at all. Alright, well, the hot glue around the edges is coming off. Unfortunately, there's a couple scratches there. Could try pushing it from the back. Yeah. Well, let me give the isopropyl alcohol just a little bit more time to work. Trying to see if I can like get it to stay on the glue. All right, I'll let it sit there for a moment while I ponder cleaning this panel here, because I may very well end up having to use it but at some point because of these scratches, although I guess it's scratched too. Huh. Well, actually, if I can get the... Alright. If I can get this hot glue out, then I'm going to use this panel, because actually the scratches here are like all the scratches on the other one are worse. Plus the color wouldn't match. I mean, I'll keep it. And I might switch to it at some point if I retrobrite the whole thing, but alright, Jeremy was suggesting I try pushing from the back. Which I don't think is going to work, but you know, another thing I could do, which I think might have a chance of success, try to get some isopropyl alcohol down there to kind of hopefully start dissolving the hot glue from the back too. Alright, well, while we do that, let me see if I can't tweezer the tabs. No, I don't think tweezering the tabs is going to work, Jeremy. Unless you're referring to, like, to help get the isopropyl alcohol. No, there's not much room there. No, really, they filled it with hot glue. I just gotta... Might need to... you know what I could probably do to help? I'm only doing this because I know I have an extra button. See if I can get very carefully. I'm not going in very far at all. Joe said, someone call Steve. He's going to want to see this. So, if you have a vintage computer and the power switch breaks, and you think that filling the power button recess in with hot glue will be a good solution, don't. Don't kludge the problem. Solve the problem. A message from the hot glue is not the answer committee. Or maybe it'd be the hot glue is for crafting, not computers committee. Unless you're like, yeah. Joe, I am trying to dig in here with the spudger, but it's not going very far. They, like, literally filled this thing with, I think it's hot glue. I just don't want to use the knife very much, because hoping, though, if I could get enough of it out, maybe there's voids under it, and it'll... If this was done to keep the power switch pressed in, I would have tapped a screw into the stem from behind instead. I suspect they probably didn't take the computer apart and glued it together. It's like... I suspect their troubleshooting was, well, my computer stays on if I press and hold the switch in. Well, let's just glue the switch pressed in so that we don't have to hold it in while we're using the computer. Problem solved. Or so they thought. Joe says drill the glue out. Use Goo Gone. I don't have WD-40. And I'm certainly not using my Western Digital 40 megabyte hard drive. Joke. If you're here and you admire my dedication to, like, solving the problems created by people who were probably doing this to a non-collectible computer, smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications and engage with the channel and whatnot, because you know what would be really nice to end the year with? 500 subscribers. Yeah, Sad Mac 356 says, I figured the hard drive was a joke. Yeah, I figured most of y'all would have known it was a joke. But if you didn't see my live stream Tuesday, I actually did have a working hard drive in one of my recent acquisitions. I think Joe's just going down the list of things that will dissolve hot glue now. From, like, best to worst. And then now Joe's being silly. Yeah, I knew not to use acetone. Yes, acetone would dissolve this plastic and leave me with the hot glue. That's the total opposite problem. Or that's the total opposite solution. Hydrazine. I think hydrazine would ignite as soon as I open the bottle, Joe. Don't think that's going to help at all. Plus, my insurance agent would probably have some questions. I think hydrazine's the, like, propellant they use in third stage rocket engines, because it you don't need to ignite it for it to burn, which when you're igniting a rocket engine in space that needs to be reignited multiple times, you don't want to have an igniter. You want it to just go. Well, Jeremy, I don't want to melt the plastic, which is why I haven't tried heat so far. Actually, this Goo Gone is actually helping. Yeah, just Mac 356 says, I think everyone would have questions. Yeah, including YouTube. Oh, here we go. This is working way better than the isopropyl alcohol. Yeah, we're actually, oh, here we go. Oh, there we go. If I can get the button loose, then I'll remove it and then clean up the rest of the hot glue. All right, let's try that. Okay, let me, only because I am realizing that there is a possibly a spring under this button. Yeah. Yeah, let's just say, Joe, that I don't think I want to work anywhere that uses fluoroantimonic acid. In any quantity for any reason. That sounds like the kind of thing that some scientist made just because they could. Yeah, Joe says it would be guaranteed. It is guaranteed to remove that glue and the plastic and the bench and my floor. Yeah. Well, getting closer. All right, let's try some fresh Guggen. Yeah, well, I haven't got the edges cleaned up enough for the button to pop out. Hence why I put some more Guggen. So if I can get the button out, then I should be able to get it cleaned up. All right, close. All right, I wonder if I push Nope. Not quite. I wonder if I can very carefully... No. I'm afraid I'll slip. All right. Yeah, it's quite possible I might just have to let this soak for a while. All right, good night, Joe. Yeah, glue stew. I'm going to... I think I'm going to let it soak. But what I'm going to do is let it soak off the workbench so that I can replace the power supply while it's soaking some. So I'm going to go ahead and move this off the workbench to a place where it's not in my way. I'll spray some more Goo-Gone in it. There we go. Alright. Now, I will put on a new pair of gloves because my gloves were like coated in Goo-Gone. Okay, and then I'll pull the Packard Bell on the workbench and we'll get the new power supply in. Well, new in air quotes. I mean, it is used. I might have bought it as new old stock, but I kind of secretly knew that it was not new old stock. After all, it came from eBay, the place where I buy things I later regret, which could also be known as the place where sellers describe things at least one grade better than they actually are. So instead of calling it a used power supply, they called it new old stock. Alright. Let me disconnect the power cords from everything. Alright, at least Packard Bell did use an AT power supply, so that means I should This should just, like, be a smooth process. Alright. Okay. Okay, I think the power supply is unplugged. So now I should just need to remove the 4 screws that are holding it in. And I think it will slide back and out. Alright. The screws that are holding it in are the standard mounting screws. On the back. Also, if you were to want to remove the back plastic piece, you would have to unscrew the power supply. Yes, Jesse, I know. Yes, your listings are, and a lot of listings are accurately described, but I probably should have not overgeneralized that. There are a lot of sellers that you can tell by looking at their listings that they have upgraded the condition of all of their items by 1 condition level. Yep, no explosions yet, Adam, although I'm having trouble getting the hot glue off the bezel. Alright. The only drawback of the power supply I am going to replace this with, which actually could be a problem, and I may have to is, oh, it's not going to fit. Okay. So the original power supply looks like this. There's no output plug. There's not an opening for an output plug. And now that I've got the power supply out, I see that there's not even a cutout on the back of the computer for to even allow it to just hang out back there. So, all right, I guess I need to see if I got a power supply that doesn't have that feature. All right. Hold please while I reinspect all of my ET power supplies to see if any of them don't have that feature. Okay, that's... took an inventory of all my AT power supplies. I have none that will fit this computer. I just took an inventory of my ATX power supplies. I have one that looks like it would fit, but it's only rated at 40% of the power of this original power supply, which is not an acceptable replacement. So I guess I'm going to see if I can't... Oh, yeah, I guess the chat's talking about eBay listings. I try to list every potentially conceivable flaw with an item, because I don't want the returns. I'm sure someone will return something anyways. But I over-describe things to the point where I probably don't make as much as I could, because I, like, over-describe conditions. But at least the one good thing is, if someone ever tried to return something not as described, I probably put so much information in the description I'd be able to appeal it. Alright. So it looks like I'm going to have to maybe go the route of trying to fix the switch. It's no longer latching. Yeah, eBay almost always sides with the buyer. However, having, like, so much information in the description that you can appeal to eBay, and it's obvious that you could say, well, they didn't read the description because they said this, and it clearly said it in the description that was wrong with it. At that point, I think eBay pretty much has to then side with the seller when you can point to what they said was wrong, and the description clearly said that was wrong. Granted, you'll probably have to appeal it, because they'll probably initially side with the buyer, but yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Sadback 356. I've had the experience of item in better working condition than described, but cosmetically dirtier. Yes. Jesse says, details will make an appeal successful. Yes. eBay will inevitably side with the buyer before the appeal, but having excessive details in the description will make the appeal successful. Because, yeah. So if you're listing things on eBay, take lots of pictures. In fact, I think eBay will let you have 24 pictures now. So take pictures of every conceivable angle of your item. Use the maximum eBay will let you. And then, yeah, describe everything. Describe everything about the item. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Gutbomb says, I had 3 of those weird TIAC floppy drives that were a 5 1/4 and a 3 1/2 in one half-height 5 1/4 unit. Had them as untested 4 parts and had tons of pictures. Dude asked for a refund because they didn't work. Well, interestingly enough, this switch, without the spring in it, is latching. I wonder if it's just gummed up with dirt. All right. Is it possible to take these switches apart without regretting it? probably already going to have to buy a replacement power supply for one of the Emerson computers I looked at on Tuesday, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get the power supply back together. I could be wrong, though. Maybe I will get it back together. Fortunately, it's like a really weird size power supply. Well, the size isn't weird. It's the fact it doesn't have a side switch. Oh, there's probably the problem right there. Oh, yeah. The switch is broken. Because there's the... Yep, because there's that piece there. And there's that piece there. And... yeah, that switch is broken. I mean, it probably doesn't help that I, like, took it apart. But I don't think those pieces were supposed to be where they were in the switch when I opened it up. So let's see here. Yeah, all right. I think what I'm going to have to do is probably we'll just have to replace the switch. Problem is, it's a 2-wire switch. All right. Is there any way that I can figure out how this was supposed to go, maybe? Oh, there's a spring. All right. I think this power supply, I'll probably order a switch for it. Unless I've got a AT power supply that has a 2-wire switch. I mean, yeah, I could use one that has a bigger switch, but that creates more problems. Mainly because then I have to get a replacement switch for that power supply. That is a 4-wire switch. All right, let me see if I can find one as a 2-wire switch. Especially if I've got one with a 2-wire switch that's in rough shape. Because then I won't necessarily be obligated to put it back together, at least not right away. So let me see what I got. Because I think the switch was broken internally. I was just hoping that maybe it was gummed up, but no, it looks like the metal piece here broke. Unfortunately, I don't know. Unfortunately, the problem is the way it broke, I don't know how it was supposed to go together. Yeah. Okay, let me see what I got in terms of switches. If I got a 2-wire switch, I might be able to fix it tonight. Otherwise, all I can really do is continue to dig hot glue out. Okay, I do not want to disassemble that case. That's actually a working computer. That's a 4-wire switch. That's a working computer. Something tells me the working computer has a 2-wire switch. That's my luck. Let's first find that. That is a 4-wire switch. Okay. Oh, what's that? Oh, well, that's a screw to something. Okay, well, I don't have any 2-wire switches, so this power supply is... Well, okay. I found a 2-wire switch on a computer, but I don't think it's an AC switch. Plus, it's a really weird power supply. I don't want to cut it switch off. Okay, so I'll have to get a replacement switch for this power supply. Okay, the only ATX power supply I have that would fit the cutout is an 85-watt power supply, which is no bueno, because this is a 200-watt power supply. Plus, I'm not convinced it's a standard ATX power supply. Alright, so... if I had a cheap light switch... No, Jeremy, I want to put the original switch back on the case. I want... I kind of would like the case to look right. I don't really want to put a cheap light switch on it. Alright, so... yeah, just realized I have no... because I did not... seriously, that's how bad the power supply was that was on that parts Packard Bell. It was so bad, I just scrapped it without even clipping the switch off of it. Granted, it's soldered on, so that's probably why I just, like, didn't even think of clipping it off. Because I couldn't see through the hot glue. Oh, just for testing. Well, I know this power supply works, Jeremy. So I don't need to test the power supply. The power supply works. So I don't need to test the power supply. I was actually just trying to fix the computer. And I realized that I need parts that I had and could have salvaged had I gotten past how gross the power supply was. Because, I mean, seriously, there was like there was a mouse nest on the power supply, or at least it looked like it could have been a mouse nest. Tell me how else pink insulation gets inside a Packard Bell. I don't think Packard Bell put it there. I'll put it that way. And yeah, the power supply was rusty and just all gross. And oh, well, there's the little. Ah, okay, that's the little piece that. Yeah, there we go. That's what's broken on it. So I think this is the little piece that latches. I know it's hard to see. I can't really zoom in much closer. Anyways, it's broken into two pieces. There's the little bit that I think would have gone like that. And I think that's the piece that goes in the spring here on one side and in the latching, because that's where it would latch. Unfortunately, that little piece is... Yeah, Jeremy says it was Mickey's dirty dozens of cousins. Yeah. That was like the one thing that was... That and the metal frame of the chassis. I mean, I kept a bunch of the parts off the computer, but that parts Packard Bell, the riser was like no hope because all the traces were broken on the backside of the board. And it is a PCI and ISA riser, so you can do the math of if we conservatively say that half the signals go on the back and half go on the front, then you can do the math. I think ISA is like 16-bit ISA is like 96 signals, and PCI is like 120 some, give or take. So divide each of those by 2, and there you go. That's how many traces were broken. Power supply was just like nasty, super gross, and then the metal frame was like, ugh, icky. Now, all the plastic pieces, I do have the plastic pieces that came off. All the plastic pieces that came off of it. Those I have, because those I can clean. I pulled the floppy drive out of the parts machine, because it looked like it could be cleaned carefully. And the motherboard, which I've already cleaned and dried it, so... It was missing the processor, though, so someone had already taken the processor. Okay. Switch was broken. I don't have parts to fix it. I might very well... I may very well, for this Packard Bell, if I can find an ATX power supply with the correct layout on the back, and that's at least compatible wattage-wise, so like not an 85-watt compact power supply, but actually like 200 watts. So it can't have a switch, but the compact power supply I have doesn't have a switch. So plug, voltage switch, fan. If I can find an ATX power supply that meets that criteria, I may put an ATX supply in the Packard Bell to replace the AT. I'm not trying to go for... This would be the case where I want it to look the part, and it's a computer that might potentially still be able to look the part with an ATX power supply. But then again, though, given the restrictions on opening, I might have to just get a switch for this. Oh, yeah. Oh, thanks, 1-bit. Yeah, 400 subs. So, yeah, Jeremy, I know. Jeremy's saying, Jeremy says, I know it says 200 watts, but the part number, the model number screams 145 watts. But let's do the math here. So let's see, that's going to be 100 watts. And then that, let's see, 12, 84. So it's going to be like 90 watts there. And then 6 watts and 2.5. So if you absolutely max this out, that comes to like 190. It's actually like 192 watts. Something like that. But yeah, I see exactly what Jeremy says. If you look at this model number, DSP 1454P. Yeah. I mean, I think they're lying when they say 200 watts, because if you do add these up, I think this is 192 or 192 and a half, if I've done my math in my head right. So, yeah. It is possible they stretch the number. Although this actually is a decently weighty power supply, so it wouldn't surprise me if it actually could do 200 watts. Yeah, Jeremy says I love rounded up ratings. Yeah. I think it actually is like 192 watts. If I've done my math in my head right. Now, interestingly enough, I have seen AT power supplies on eBay with where the label does actually say something odd like 127.5 watts. So I know there are AT power supplies out there where they did not round up for roundness sake. In fact, I think some of the power supplies and some of the classic Macs, the wattage label on some of them are like odd numbers. So I do know there are power supplies out there where they didn't round up for like getting that nice round 200 number. Yeah, Jesse says marketing. Yep. Jeremy, this Packard Bell case doesn't use a small form factor power supply. That's a full size AT power supply, so I know you're probably thinking that I could take the small form factor power supply and put it in the larger power supply, but the leads are awfully short on it. And this is a tower case. So I don't think that's going to give me the I don't think that's going to give me what I need for this computer. I think that might work for a smaller case where I don't have to run leads as far. Yes. So if for those of you that did not see me trying to remove this hot glue, the previous owner, to fix the fact that the power button stopped latching, simply filled the power button in with hot glue to keep it depressed. And now I'm trying to get the hot glue out so I can remove so I can actually fix the power button properly. Now, it is quite possible that I may just have to well, I think I'll get the hot glue out eventually. So, yeah, the previous owner, or a previous owner, because I don't know that the person I bought this from was necessarily the person that did it. It might have just been the person that had acquired it and then decided to sell it at the swap meet for a enthusiast friendly price. Yeah, I think I've mostly got it. In fact, I think I might actually, I got enough of the glue out that I can actually, I think I can get the button. Oh, actually, there we go. All right. I can remove the button so that I'm dealing with two separate hot glue removal projects and not one. There we go. Ah, there is a spring behind it. All right. Well, let me remove the spring. So now I've got the power button and it still has a mound of hot glue on it. But now that I got the power button out, I am going to... All right, well, I'm going to have to go to Harris Teeter because Food Lion does not sell the plastic Dixie cups, because that is my last plastic Dixie cup. Because if paper Dixie cups don't really like to be filled with isopropyl alcohol. So anyways, to dissolve the hot glue that is still on that button, I am going to let that soak in isopropyl alcohol. Overnight or longer if necessary. All right. And I'm not sure I got all the hot glue out of there, but I think to fix that problem, I will... Let me see here if I can't... All right, I wonder if... Ah, actually, I have some isopropyl wipes. Wonder if I can... There we go. There we go. All right. Hopefully... that will maybe do what I need it to do, and... Oh yeah, should be safe to use a metal tool in there since you'll never see the scratches behind the button, but you'll know they're there. Yeah, that's why I haven't done that. Fortunately, the scratches around the button are bothering me, so I will probably very carefully do nothing to those scratches. They're provenance of the case, or prominence, or well, whatever the word I'm trying to think of is. Words are hard when it's 11:20 p.m. Oh, actually, that those alcohol pads might have been just the thing I needed. All right, actually, I think what I can do very carefully is I might be able to just use the backside of the knife. Yeah, provenance was the right word, Gutbaum says. All right. And actually, I think some of the scratches might have actually just been more hot glue blobbed on it. These are right there are scratches, but these could be blobs of hot glue. It's possible if I get some. I think I've got all the hot glue out of the button recess. So maybe if I just let the I'll re-wet those. Let these sit here for a moment. I might be able to get that hot glue off. I have a feeling that button's going to probably have to soak overnight. Oh, yeah. Okay, Gutbomb says, I bet those are actually where the hot glue gun made contact with the case when the crime was committed. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, because I think that's actually slightly melted plastic. Which actually, quite honestly, isn't as bad as the scratches. I mean, do I like it? No, but it's Providence. I'm not going to. I mean, yes, I have plastic parts from another Packard Bell case, but it has more scratches on it than this one. Plus, I'd have to retrobrite everything to make the plastic colors match. At least everything with this faceplate matches, so. Alright, I know it's going to be hard to see on camera, but yeah, so there we go. So I think that's where the hot glue gun touched the case, and then scratches from something. I don't know if maybe they were trying to remove the power button before they hot glued it, and they scratched it with a screwdriver. But I think I got the hot glue out of the recess, so when I put the button back in, it should move freely. Yes, the machine has a hard drive in it. I need to format and I need to back up the tattoo that might be on it, because that Packard Bell stored the system information in a hidden sector in track 0, and I don't know if tattoo's the official name, but that's what everyone calls it. So I could actually tell you when this system was made, because the replacement hard drive has the tattoo information on it. But I need to back that up, and then I need to wipe and reinstall the factory software, because it has medical information on the hard drive. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, PC archaeology. Just, I don't want to have medical information that's not mine. Well, I don't know if it actually has medical information on it. It's just one of the programs on it looked like it could be a source of HIPAA protected information, so I want to wipe the hard drive. Anyways, so other than the scratches around the power button, the faceplate on this Packard Bell looks pretty good. So I need to clean it because there's dust on the back. But yeah, there we go. So we got the I got the hot glue out of that part of the case. So I wonder now if maybe this is soaked long enough. Yeah, I'm probably just going to I'm going to basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up the tattoo, which is there's a program to do it. And then I'm just going to run dban on it and wipe the hard drive because I'm not even going to bother to determine if there actually is HIPAA protected data on the computer or not. I'm just going to run dban and wipe it after I back up the tattoo. And then I'm going to reinstall from the factory reinstall media, which luckily someone put on archive.org. So, yep, that's going to be what I do. But I want to read the tattoo off first before I deban it. Because debanning will definitely erase the tattoo. Jesse says, I wonder if this computer belonged to a dentist office. They're typically cheap when it comes to IT. Maybe. But specifically the software that made me think it was HIPAA, might have HIPAA protected data, although it could be like continuing education software. I just am not going to figure out which it is. It had the word nurse in it, which I don't typically equate with dentist's office. Although maybe oral surgeon's office, maybe. Although then again, maybe the dentist's office was using some low-cost middleware, and maybe it actually was a dentist's office. It was just like generic software that had the word nurse in the name. So, yeah, so I'm going to back up the tattoo, and then I'm going to deban it, because I just want to make sure that if there is HIPAA data on it, that it's just completely erased, because I don't even want to know what it is. And I don't want anyone else to be able to recover it in the future, and then I'll restore it from the factory. Restore media. Oh, there we go. I think I've got the... Oh, here we go. It's getting there. All right, if I can get this big blob off, then I'll have to soak it a little more to probably clean it up the rest of the way, but... All right. I think I'll have to soak it again. It's getting close. There, you can see the progress that I've made. Yep. So anyways, so that's how I know the computer works, is I've had it powered up. I know what's on it. Someone had upgraded it to Windows 90. It's running, actually it might be running Windows 98, which isn't the original operating system, but I think, or it's running Windows 95. I don't remember, one of the two. I think the computer would have shipped with, I think this computer would have shipped with Windows 3.1. So maybe it was Windows 95 it was running. But someone might have updated it to 98. Anyways, I'll probably just run... Actually, I'll probably run whatever the restore media is, which possibly is Windows 3.1. Because that would have been what our Packard Bell would have been running for that brief period we owned it. Well, power button's getting there. All right. More soaking. All right, maybe at least, even though I won't be able to actually fix the power supply tonight, because I need to order parts. Seems like I'm always ordering parts. At least maybe I'll have the hot glue off of it so that when I do sort the power supply, I can put the power button back in. All right, let's see here. The sad thing is that Steve hasn't joined to see me get all this hot glue out. Oh, Steve. Don't oh, yeah. Oh, got bomb. I'm just going to go to Harris Teeter and get the Dixie cups. If they still carry them. Because I still haven't received the Mario hat I ordered from Amazon that was supposed to arrive before I went on vacation, and they didn't ship it until the day it was supposed to arrive. No, actually, they didn't ship it till the day after it was supposed to arrive, which was still before I left for vacation. But the day they shipped it, there was definitely not enough time for it to arrive before I left for vacation. But it's the tracking information stopped with the shipper has received the package. So I'm kind of thinking it still might randomly show up next week, just like out of the blue. Is like, oh, there's that Amazon package. It finally decided to arrive. I'm also thinking it might have actually truly gotten lost somehow. Yeah, no. I wanted to dress up as Mario, but I had ordered it so that I would have it in hand, so that because I was going to wear the Mario hat for Dave's stream too. And I was kind of hoping that it might show up before my stream on Tuesday, but no, it didn't. It still hasn't shown up. I was kind of thinking that it might randomly show up today, but no, it's quite possibly truly lost. I mean, the annoying thing is that Mario hat wasn't the only thing in the order, but well, it was the time sensitive item in the order. Probably drop shipped. No, actually, it was sold and shipped by or shipped by Amazon. Uh, actually, both items in the order were shipped by Amazon. I mean, it is possible, but I think the other item in the order was a pair of shoelaces that were not from the same company. So I don't think it drop shipped from China. I think it's more likely it just never some didn't get picked up or fell off the truck or something. Someone somewhere on the way of the Amazon truck driving to the shipper's hub, someone found a package with a Mario hat and a pair of shoelaces, and yeah, now they're no, the shoelaces were not for the Mario costume. They just happened to be on sale, and I ordered them at the same time. Jesse says I had packages sit at a random sorting center for a month. Yeah, I'm just have this feeling that it's just going to randomly show up one day. I mean, the thing is, it was so late. I had trouble actually requesting the refund while I was on vacation. So maybe it's just as well I waited so I could truthfully tell Amazon that no, it hasn't arrived. But yeah, I've been refunded for it because it's like way late. Yeah, if it's later than a certain amount, Amazon will, I guess for cheap items, they usually will just refund you because they want to keep you as a happy customer. So they've actually refunded it. They said, even though it may arrive, here's your refund. And in this case, if it does arrive, it like at this point, the Mario hat, well, it's going to be late. Or I guess early, depending on how you look at it. Jesse says maybe Bowser got it. Yeah. I bet that glue prevented yellowing of that button. Yeah, you might be right. Anyway, look at that. I got the hot glue off the button. Yay. That looks, yeah, it is quite possible because these buttons are usually a different color of plastic. And, okay, I know I don't have the spring. I was just kind of showing the color of plastic, but yeah. I think these have slightly yellowed, but these buttons are usually a different plastic, and it's quite possible that it would have yellowed more, but... Alright. Yeah, Jeremy says, I once had a package bounce back and forth between 2 postal service locations for 2 weeks, and then it got sent back to me. Yeah, well, it's not bouncing anywhere. I did track it today just to see out of curiosity. Oh, maybe will I get it in time for tonight's stream? And I'll just put the Mario hat on as a joke? Nope. No, lol, no. Alright, let me clean the... Yeah, it looks like a pretty close match. Alright. Alright, so there's the spring for the button. I'll let that dry. And we'll let the... Actually, I can make this dry faster. Oh, and by the way, if anyone's wondering, like, so all that dusting I did on my stream Thursday... It's a 3 amp hour battery, and I've only depleted it like 1 bar. All right, so the spring's dry. I'm going to put this back in because I don't want to lose the button. All right, so there we go. The button definitely still has spring, so that's good. All right, I guess I might as well... clean the front panel. I'll just use Windex. Or, well, actually, it's spray away glass cleaner. Ammonia-free, streak-free shine, clean, fresh scent. Generic glass cleaner. Yeah, if and when I get the hat, I will put it on as a joke. However, I didn't feel like just simply ordering another one because the timeliness was gone. I'm not going to necessarily feel obligated to get rid of every last mark. I just basically want to kind of get the dirt off of it and the goo gone. Any goo gone that's left on it, and general grime. The case is actually in good enough shape. Unless I have to use a plastic piece. If I break plastic and have to use one of the parts plastic that I have that's a different shade, then I might retrobrite it. But at the moment, you're probably... it is like very slightly yellowed. It's probably not coming across on camera, but it's actually, it's kind of yeah, it's a little bit yellowed, but it's not yellowed enough that I would bother trying to retro bright it. That would be my description. So actually, the other day I was trying to find a can of paint that I thought was down here to use as a color reference. Actually, I did find the can of paint. It's not down. I haven't carried it down to the basement yet. That's why it wasn't available to use. But I'll pull that other can out that is a slightly yellowed color. It's more of an ivory, kind of slightly yellowed ivory than a beige color. All right. At least I got the faceplate fixed. And if anyone's wondering, so this is ivory silk color, which is actually more yellowed than computer beige. So the case really isn't that yellowed. Oh, I guess I can probably clean the two faceplate covers off. And then at least I'll have the faceplate ready for when I get the power supply situation sorted. All right. Yeah. It's really, really not that yellow. It's probably not going to come across. If I went upstairs and got the can of paint, which actually maybe we'll just go upstairs. I think it's just at the top of the stairs. Basically, I have a spot in the hallway upstairs close enough to the basement door where I stick things that need to come down to the basement as I have free hands to do so. And, well, I just haven't had a free hand. Well, as I have a free hand and a desire to carry them downstairs, and, well, it's kind of not the season for painting at the moment. So I haven't really wanted to bother carrying it downstairs, but I'll go get that can of paint. It's actually supposed to be a color close to PC cases. And I think that'll make it possibly evident if it has yellow. So let me go grab that can of paint real quick. All right. Actually, that's, I think, the wrong color for Packard Bell. Yeah, I think the Packard Bell plastic is more of a light gray than a beige. So, actually, this beige color is more yellow than the Packard Bell case. Never mind. So, this is, I forget which YouTuber it was, but this is the color they use for painting beige cases, like the metal parts that rusted and need to be repainted. So I decided to go with a can of that. The ivory silk color I have is more, I think, more of the color of Amiga cases or Amiga accessories, so it's a little yellower. Anyways, And I also grabbed a can of satin black. This is the can the color they use for painting black parts. So I could probably use this if I had a beige drive and needed to make it a black drive to match a computer. That's probably the right thing. Anyways, although it's definitely too cold today to spray paint, but all right. At least I've got the power button liberated. There is no more hot glue holding it on. And the spring is still springy. Good night, Gut Bomb. All right, so at least I got that part of it fixed. So I will be able to... All right. Be able to actually fix things when I get the proper parts. I'll lay these screws. So those are the screws I'll need to put the various parts back together. Oh, yeah. Well, I could definitely tell you that if I spray painted that now, the paint would not stick. It's too cold. I'd probably really want to do it outside. Not that I haven't spray painted things in the basement, but it makes the basement smell like spray paint. All right. So I won't lose those screws. There we go. All right. So the diagnosis is the toggle switch was broken on the power supply. And that was a part I did not have, so haven't been able to fix the power supply. The power supply itself, I think, is fine, because I have had the computer powered up. That's how I know there was data on the hard drive that needs to be wiped as soon as I can. Let's see here. So anyways, I will either find a switch to fix the power supply, or I will find an ATX power supply that'll fit the footprint and go that route. Either way, I'd be happy with it. So, I think with that, I think that's a pretty good stream. So anyways, oh yeah, I guess one quick update. So the Emerson Matrix 2000 computer that I was working on Tuesday, that I'm going to have to like completely disassemble because there is dust under the motherboard and still dust in crevices and cracks of that computer, so it's still not clean enough to I want to do more cleaning on it. There's still more dust, but since I had the hard drive out, I did actually find some SIMs for it so that I could upgrade it to 4 megabytes of memory. I, in the process, discovered that I had incorrectly assumed that you could use the RAM that was in the DIP sockets along with the SIMs to give a total of 5 megabytes, but apparently you can either use DIP memory or SIM memory. So 4 megabytes is the max on that board. Also, there are jumpers you have to change for the memory size. Luckily, there is a similar motherboard on the retro web that, even though the jumper designations are different, the jumper locations are the same, and I was able to actually figure out what jumpers I needed to set for 4 megabytes of SIM memory, and also the jumpers I had to change to switch it from using the DIP memory to SIM memory, because yes, it doesn't auto-detect the amount of memory. Granted, you then have to go in the BIOS and set how much memory's in it too there, but you have to set jumpers to the size. So I figured that out, and also figured out that when you have 4 megabytes of memory installed, the only configuration it supports is 640K base RAM, 128K shadow RAM, and then the rest is XMS, or extended memory. Or expanded. I think you could set it extended or expanded. But yeah, anyways, I figured it out. So I didn't like the fact that you have 128K of shadow RAM, no choice with 4 megabytes of RAM. But anyways, I have that computer. I have it 4 megabytes of memory for it. And I started the process of setting up a small compact flash card with some benchmark utilities. So that computer will come back out so we can kind of see how fast it is and see what FPUs it might like. But it does appear as if that computer doesn't care what FPU is installed as long as it's a 287 compatible, which is good. So anyways, I thought I would just update you on that. It's something I did last night because it was on the bench and I saw the Sims were there and I was like, it'd be really nice to upgrade the Sim memory. And I thought it was going to be a simple matter of plugging them in. Done. It's going to go. It's going to detect 5 megabytes of memory. And nope, I had to do some archaeology there because there are no manuals for that computer on the web. So anyways, that will be some fun there. Also, I think the Emerson 8800 EC, I guess Tuesday, I thought that there was a setup program on it, but I forgot. It has a block of dip switches like the XT. So I think the dip switches are actually the same as the XT. I think the clock battery on the motherboard is only for the real-time clock. I think it's got an integrated real-time clock. There's not a setup program. So anyways, I was in error when I said there was a setup program, because I'm pretty sure actually now that I think about it, there's not. So anyways, and that 8800 EC is the one where I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that power supply back together. Although I just remembered it will help if I go put this lock washer with that computer, because I just realized that that lock washer goes with that computer and it was on my bench. So yes, let me put that somewhere where I'll go put that with the computer before I go back upstairs. Anyways, so with that, I am going to conclude the stream because, well, it's getting close to the time I'd normally end anyways. So be sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Turn on notifications because all these computers will be back at some point. I don't know if I'm going to do another Packvember stream. I might later in the month because I have a little more work to do on that Packard Bell than I thought I would when I said I'm probably only going to do one Packvember stream. But we'll see. It may also be I may just do a finishing project stream at some point and it may make an appearance there. But yeah, if you want to see all those computers I looked at Tuesday or tonight, see the Packard Bell up and running, yeah, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And let's see here, I think that's about it. And so anyways, I'm going to go ahead and draw the stream to a close, make sure I got my finger on the right button. So anyways, have a great rest of your day. I'm glad you joined me for tonight's stream. Glad I was able to get that hot glue out of the button recess, even if that's about the only thing I fixed to the Packard Bell. That was a big thing, getting that hot glue out. Because now I have a button that, when I fix the other part of the problem, the button will actually be able to move. So, yay. So, have a great rest of your day. Hope to see you here next time. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time, and until then, take care!